Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Night Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats. I'm here with Rob and Donald. And we are going to look. I wanted to lead off with Boone getting the extension, but there was news dropped this morning that turned the whole Yankee universe on its end. Hal has made the announcement they are amending after decades after George Steinbrenner bought the team, that they are changing the facial hair policy. And it is being received with mixed reaction. Some people are upset that they are kind of abandoning tradition. And some are embracing that they are coming into the next century. I am on the fence about it. I don't know how it's going to. I don't know how it's going. Like, we want to just turn around and see everybody with with a nice clean beard, like Donald and Rob always keep. I don't have to trim my mustache to go above my lip. So it's we now can play for the Yankees if we wanted to, and fill that third base hole. But no, it's great to I think it really, in the long term, I think it's going to benefit the Yankees. I think, as much as I embraced the tradition, it was feeling antiquated. But before I get to Rob's take, I do want to thank everybody for joining us in the chat this morning. We are looking at all the comments. We will give you guys your shout out as we get our opening statements in. But before you do that, just hit that like button, hit that the subscribe button if you want to join the chat, and share this out with everybody because this is going to be one hell of a show, because there's a lot to cover. From facial hair, Boone's extension, Judge not in the opening lineup, Clark Smith's issues with his injury and his back. It just seems like what's the Yankee spring training without injury updates on the daily. So before we get into the rest of the discussions, Rob, how are you feeling about Hal's decision to change this policy that was a very a very big debate for a long time?
I want to say thank you to the fans of Major League Baseball, because we banded together for a common cause. Yankees fans, Red Sox, Mets, Dodgers, Tigers, Guardians, you name it. We bullied the crap out of the New York Yankees to finally changing this long overdue, unnecessary facial hair policy. May have been fine in the 70s, maybe even been fine in the 80s. Once you got to the 90s and the 2000s, the 2010s, now we're in 2025, we're halfway through the decade. And they finally decided to change it. I'm happy. I don't know why anyone would. Tradition is one thing, but you got players. Devin Williams just did not look good without a beard. It looked weird. Remember Verdugo last year when he showed up for the first time without a beard? Everyone was like, oh my God. Yeah. It was like a culture shock. You forget what somebody looks like after a while without a beard. I can tell you right now, you don't want to see me with a clean-shaven face. So I'm very happy that the Yankees finally decided to get with the times and change this thing. And you know what tells me? They're listening to we have a voice. The fans have a voice in some capacity. They're not going to listen to us for everything because we still don't have a third baseman, but they will listen for some things. There's no way Hal was just thinking to himself, let me go consult some former Yankees and see what they think. No, he was reading Twitter. Cashman said it himself. He's got a burner account. He was probably like, Hal, look what they're saying about this facial hair stuff. And he's like, you know what, maybe it's time. And I'm glad they did it. I don't know why anyone would have a problem with it. Let the guys have a little facial hair, well kept. I mentioned a few weeks ago that I had an old job that did the same thing. We couldn't have a beard until they changed it, and you could have it well kept, well groomed. That's exactly what the Yankees are doing. And now this may attract more players to want to come to the Yankees. Maybe that scared away some players. Like, I don't want to sign there. This can only be a good thing as far as I'm concerned. It's 2025. Let them have a little bit of facial hair. I feel kind of bad for Gleyber Torres, but and Verdugo to a degree. But hey, it's about damn time, and good. Let the players have a little facial hair. What's the big deal? It's not like they're going to hurt anybody because they have a beard. So good for the Yankees. Good on Hal for finally changing this. It's a long, long overdue change.
Donald, good morning.
Bearded folks unite! The beards have united! Yes! It is a long time coming, and what is it the kids use? What's the term? I feel validated. I feel heard. That's true, though. It is true. It is a long time coming. I honestly, I mean, times have changed. Times have changed. In the '60s, everyone wore those hats to work, riding the trains, the subways in New York. I mean, why don't they just keep that going until 2025? I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? Because that is as about outdated as the mustache thing. I mean, listen, you know what? The mustache was cool in the '80s, but so was Lycra and Michael Jackson. Times change. Tom Selleck was the star, the icon of the '80s. Times change. You move on. You move with the times a little bit. It's no longer the '70s and the '80s. Time to upgrade it a little bit. You can have. I mean, everyone wears beards now. To be honest, a lot of people wear beards now. It's not even a thing anymore. So it's kind of crazy that we're even having this discussion because it's such a minor thing. You know what I'm saying? So just keep it trimmed. I don't want these big shaggy things. I don't want like the Red Sox style thing, but keep it trim, keep it cool. Let's rock and roll. You know, who wears these kind of creepy mustaches anymore? Anyway, apart from tats. So kidding, T. Let's rock and roll with the times. I think it's the right thing to go with. But I'll tell you what, Twitter's going to be crazy now with the simping for Aaron Judge and Big G with a little bit of facial hair. Can you imagine? It's going to be crazy on X.
I don't know if Judge. You think Judge would even do it though? Because that goes to Acevedo just said who's going to be the first one with the big beard. I think it's going to be Devin Williams, or Bellinger.
Oh, yeah.
But Judge kind of never grows it out in the offseason. Every time you see him, he's always well shaved. Maybe he doesn't do it. But G will. I can tell you, Big G definitely will have some facial hair. Stroman might keep the stash. But it is, like you said, it's crazy that we have to have this conversation. Like, who's going to be the first one to have a beard? Why should we have to have that conversation? Like, this should have never been a thing. They should have just let them do it. Nathan agrees. Let them have the little bit of a beard. I think that some players wish they were back with this facial hair policy now. But, hey, again, long overdue. But everything you said is right. The facial hair policy was outdated, and some traditions need to be broken. Some traditions are great, but there are some traditions that don't need to last forever, and that's one of them.
Yeah, it's like you want to see change, for a positive light. I think the biggest thing is the statement that it's going to improve the morale on the team, and I think that's going to happen. I never thought that having a beard made you play better. So, because I've been on record, you guys can go through the tapes. I was not a big fan of making this change. It was something that it was unique to the Yankees' mystique, was always my stance on it. So, yeah, when I first saw it, yeah, I was not happy about it, but what I do really appreciate about the change is that Hal didn't just make the change to make it. Like, he consulted with former players from different eras. He was listening to the fan base and their reaction, current players. So he made this decision based on a collective of information.
And you saw the face of the reaction after Williams turned up and looked like a baby face and everyone freaked. That's what caused it. I seriously doubt it was that much of an investigation of former players. I think the former players were like, "Yeah, do what you want, man. You're the fucking owner." It'll be the aspect of that. But let's be honest. He went on Twitter and then saw the whole baseball world and all Yankee fans looking at Williams, going, "Whoa, yeah, what is happening here?" So the Yankees were like, we can't have any more negative PR. So let's try and change the narrative up a little bit. So I think it's that. rather than anything. But thank you to Williams for being acquired to force this change. So whatever happens to Williams, this trade's a success because it's forced this change. It needed to happen a long time ago.
Yeah, and you know what? The other day I noticed, it might have been 2 days ago or whatever, but
Exactly.
Devin Williams was doing a press conference and he had a beard. No, so I'm wondering how long, like, maybe they said this like a week ago, or maybe they announced it with Boone's extension. That's why they had that party. They were barbecuing and ice cream and cornholing, and they're like, hey guys, we can grow beards now. And just having a little bit of fun. But I'm wondering when they announced this to the team, because I swear Devin Williams started growing that thing out as soon as he had to shave it. He showed up to camp with a beard, and then he had to shave, and then within like 2 days, he had his photo day and he had a beard, or at least a 5
That's why
o'clock
it's
shadow.
about Williams. I swear to God, it's about Williams.
It is. It was definitely him. We bullied the Yankees into saying, okay, we got to change this. Devin Williams looked so miserable showing up without a beard. And that's like the best closer in baseball, or one of the best in the sport. We need that guy to be feeling good. He didn't want to lose it. Trust me, I can tell you. When I have to trim this, and I am like, I don't want to see the rest of my face sometimes. So I understand how he's feeling. And again, if that's what it was, there's no way he said, let me go consult Ron Guidry about this, because he'll give me a good idea. Guidry's had the same mustache since the 70s, so there's no way he's like, yeah, let them grow it. It was Twitter. It was the fans. We bullied them. We can take some pride in that. We bullied the New York Yankees. So I want everyone to give themselves, that likes this change, because some people don't, everyone that likes this change, to give ourselves a round of applause, because we bullied the New York Yankees into changing a facial hair policy. It was not former players. It was Devin Williams. Thank you, by the way. I want to thank him first and foremost.
And for those saying this hurts our mystique, do you know what hurts our mystique? Not winning a championship since 2009 and doubling and trebling and quadrupling down and etc. On mediocrity and failure since 2009. That is what hurts our mystique. Passing up on tons of the best free agents in the game for no other reason other than budget. That hurts our mystique, right? Allowing the Dodgers to piss all over us, allowing the Mets to piss all over us this offseason. They're allowing the Red Sox to piss all over us this offseason. That hurts our mystique. Not a fucking beard. A beard means nothing. A beard might help, actually, if anything. So, you know what? You want to improve a mystique? How about win? That helps.
No, you're right, but that was just growing up. Don't forget, somebody's mom thinks I'm 100 years old, but it's it's just one of these where you get so used to it, and I'm like, it was what it was. That was part of. Look, I've had jobs where you couldn't have tattoos showing, But look, if you're paying me and you're helping me pay my bills, a long sleeve shirt it is. That was, I didn't have to take that job, but that was the job that was available. They were willing to hire me, so I had to accommodate to their dress code. It was the same thing for the Yankees for years. So, after a while, I got I did get them to change their policy where as long as it was a nice shirt, I was able to wear a short sleeve shirt. So it's there has to be a compromise, and the Yankees are now compromising. And part of when I was getting ready to do the show this morning, I was thinking back to that one particular job that I had. Where you had to wear slacks and a long sleeve button down shirt if you had tattoos. They did not want to see them. I'm like, well, you're paying my bills, so you want me to dress in a top hat? I'll dress in a top hat. I don't care. Just pay me. Just make sure my check clears. And it does take time for them to realize, what? We are living in an antiquated system. We need to start making amendments. Are they going to have long hair down to their ass next? I hope not. I mean, that would be the dam that broke me. But it would, a nice clean beard, how are you going to argue that?
You're right. Right. It's not like they're saying go crazy with it. We're not going to have a bunch of Brandon Marshes on the team. Even if that was the case, I don't think it really matters. We're not looking at these guys. I mean, some people are just looking at them to look at them, but we're not watching Yankees baseball to be like, man, I'll tell you, Giancarlo looks really good with that goatee, doesn't he? I want to see Giancarlo Stanton hit 470-foot home runs. I want to see Aaron Judge send one to frickin' Yonkers. Like I don't care what their faces and their hair look like. I just want to see how good they are on the field. So
Ross, you underestimate Twitter, bro. You underestimate Twitter. There is going to be like bearded Stanton accounts. There's going to be Simp Central, bro.
Oh no, you're right. I'm saying us.
Painting over Peraza with a fucking goatee. Oh my god, it's gonna be an explosion.
They're already doing it. Our very own Sierra is melting at the thought of Gleyber Torres with a beard in Detroit. So I know it's the case. I'm just saying, I personally don't give a flying fuck what you look like on the baseball field as long as you're playing
Just
well.
win for us.
Of course.
Yeah, just win.
Bearded Daniel Jones trended for about 2 weeks until everybody realized he still couldn't throw.
Yeah. Hey, the beard got him Kay Adams, so you know what? Good for Daniel Jones, supposedly, allegedly.
It's something that's been. Let's be honest, whether you hate it or you've been dying for this, it was overdue for the Yankees to kind of amend their policy. As long as the players and I think the players are going to be very respectful and not push the boundary. Right? I think that's something we all could agree on. That they finally got this put into place. They're not going to take advantage of it. You're not going to see a Brandon Marsh. You're not going to see the straggly beard, or the the big long goatee that goes down to their belly. But it's something where you're going to see it kept respectable, and let's now we just have to see. I think it would be fun to try to figure out who would be the first guy to grow it back out. I think it's gonna be Devin Williams, because I know if any of us was shaved, we would look completely different, and Devin Williams just doesn't look like himself. So I think he's going to be the first one to bring it back.
He already has brought it back. Like I'm telling you, if you watch his interview from like a day or two ago, you'll see he's got more than a 5 o'clock shadow. This had to have been put in place a couple of days ago. They just decided to announce it on the first day of first game. That's all it was. This was announced, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But we spent a good 18 minutes on it. Let's say good morning to everybody in the chat, because it seems like we've got most people in favor of it. There's a few people that don't like it, but let's say good morning to everybody in the chat. If we go all the way back to the top, Jonathan was here breaking the news before we even changed the title. So once again, Jonathan, thank you. Good morning. John the Beagle Dad's here. Jacob Petruzzi, the man. He says, morning, fam. What's up, Jacob? Stevie B. We've got the usual suspects. TC Steels, of course. Good to see TC. We're going to get into some actual baseball talk, not facial hair talk in just a second. Izzy Divo, like number 5. Thank you. Get those likes up. FJ, Dev, we've got Consigliere, Joel in the chat. Good to see you. Sean Browning, Armand. We had Nathan in here earlier. I don't know if he's still here. Sean Browning, Acevedo, our usual suspects, our usual friends. Medina, always good to see Medina. It's been a while since we've seen you in here. Hope everything is going well, my friend. Good morning to everybody. It's Friday. Cold Italian Pizza's here as well. Good morning, my fam. And look, we got baseball today, guys. So enough about this facial hair talk. Spencer as well in the chat. Don't want to ignore everybody. We got Will Starr, Egyptian Magician. The list goes on and on. Nosebleed section.
Brown. Yo.
Marshall Brown. The comments keep popping in, so keep saying hello. We'll keep shouting out. Anna Marie. Good to see everybody. Baseball today, ladies and gentlemen. The first Yankee spring game is here. How excited are we on a scale of 1 to 10? Donald, Tats, anyone?
Well, Tats is so excited he muted himself.
I was about to turn my mic on. No, I'm at a 10 right now. I mean, it's freezing as shit in New York, and it's going to give me a very warm spring feeling to watch them play baseball. I might not need a coat. I'll feel so warm. So I'm really excited for this game today, because it is the start of the next journey as Yankee fans. whether you're optimistic, pessimistic, in the middle, baseball is here. There are games being played, prospects to enjoy seeing how they're developing, new acquisitions to the team that we're going to be able to see in uniform. I'm stoked. I can't wait for the game to start.
Donald, did you see the lineup today, by the way?
I do, yeah, I do. So my rating out of 10, I give it a 5. 5 out of 10. I was a 4, but then the beard thing is too me. I'm up to 5. 5 out of 10. I've been a 10 out of 10 every single spring up to this year, but not too happy with this off season. It's been a bit rough for me, but 5. And then if it gets better and things start getting good, then we start playing well, and so I'm giving it a 5 just to see how things go. If it's a fun spring, then I'll move it up to a 6 or 7, but it's a 5 for me because of the modest expectations I have right now.
Yeah, I'm at like a 7 right now. I agree with Stevie B. I really want to see Dominguez and Peraza. Definitely want to see what they can do. Pereira as well. I want to see if he gets a shout. And yeah, Bobby Miller got beamed yesterday.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys saw that from a line drive, so I hope he's all right. But yeah, the lineup today, we got Dominguez leading off in left. So that's pretty impressive. Bellinger's in center. Goldschmidt's at first. Jazz is at second, cleanup. Shortstop Volpe. Escara is the catcher. Pablo Reyes, I didn't even know he was there. In right field, Oswald Peraza is at third. Pereira is the DH. We already heard from Boone that Pereira is going to be DHing a lot. Could get some at bats if G misses more time, which he probably will in the regular season. Yeah, you're right, Sean. I mean, I would love an actual third baseman, but let's see if Peraza or Cabrera can run away with this thing. Just anyone but DJ, please. You know who's got a beard? Nolan Arenado. So he wouldn't have to shave it. Anyway, just putting that out there. Just putting that out there. He has a beard. He wouldn't have to shave. But no, that is the lineup for today. Stroman is getting the start. I think it was TC is excited for the game, but 1 for Stroman starting. Is this just a showcase for teams that might want to acquire Marcus Stroman?
Yeah, I think it is. I think they're getting him out there right out of the gate. Yeah, he's ready to go, and the phone lines are open. So I think that's what we're seeing today.
I think it's a good call. I think our 6 starters is Cookie Carrasco right now. I think Cookie Carrasco will probably be the next in line. I think Stroman's going to get traded. I think it's the kind of the least the least quiet secret in baseball is Stroman's status. So I think they're getting out in front of it. Hopefully, if he pitches kind of well over the next couple starts, then teams will be more interested in him. And because Hal's made it clear that this team can't add any further money without moving him. So I think you'll probably be looking at Cookie Carrasco, maybe like Brubaker or something like that as the next 2 in line. So, yeah, I do think Stroman's going to get traded.
It seems, I mean, it should have happened by now. But, yeah, as Acevedo brings up, more than 12 pitchers are already hurt. It's a showcase. And you're right, Carrasco's here. We still have Brubaker, who's – I think he's expected to pitch today, according to Brian Hoke. So that'll be good. He's finally healthy-ish, I guess. I don't want to say healthy yet because he's constantly hurt. But we got, I guess, some good news on Clark Schmidt that he's not as hurt as we thought he might have been. That barking back, as they put it, or cranky back. Wish they would just say his back hurts. Stop putting these weird labels on it. But he's pitching bullpen, so I'm hoping he's all right. But yeah, Will Warren's still there. We still have Clayton Beater, who, even though they're using as a relief pitcher, could still eat innings if need be. That lefty, I can't remember his name, that we picked up not too long ago. Biedrick, I don't know what his name is, but he can eat some innings if needed. So they have options, and it just makes sense that Stroman's not going to be on this team as a 6th starter. They're not going 6-man rotation. He's not going long man. And you're not going to bump someone like Schmidt to the bullpen unless you absolutely had to if he really was hurt. That's the only way they hold on to Stroman. So I think it is a showcase. Maybe, Sean, maybe something like that where if he pitches well enough, the Cardinals like we can use some pitching. Let's make this trade happen. The Cardinals now with Arenado in camp, they have to like shuffle so many things around. They wanted to use Gorman at third. They wanted to use Donovan in the outfield or at second. Now they got to shift so many things around to get guys playing time because they couldn't trade Arenado. So there's still a chance that goes down in the middle of camp. So fingers crossed that they can work something out. But yeah, at Stroman at this point, even Jack Curry said it the other day, it's awkward. He knows it. He might not be showing it because he's having a good time. He's all smiles. He's being a professional. But both sides know it. This is an awkward situation. And the same thing going on in St. Louis. Both sides probably know it's an awkward situation. So we got to hope that at some point that something can get done. I think it's for the better. Better for Stroman, better for the team, just to get out of this awkward situation. But this could be a showcase. It could not be. The Yankees could be saying, with injuries propping up, he could be our number 5 starter. I don't know what they're thinking.
Could be. He could. I mean, under no circumstances am I saying that I'm advocating Stroman to be traded, because I really don't believe that $18 million should be hamstringing an organization like the Yankees with their expectations, especially with the news that Schmidt's got a bulky back, and back injuries are very, very difficult to rehab from. We've seen it with Rodon. We've seen it in the past with other guys that are important. Bulky backs are difficult to rehab from, especially if you're a pitcher, because your whole body is moving like that. So again, you can mess with your back. So I certainly wouldn't be jumping to be trading Stroman, but nor am I saying that we have a ton of depth either, because Chase Hampton's pretty much, I mean, UCL and all that. He's a top surgery waiting to happen. So we don't have a ton of depth, so I mean, I'm not saying we should definitely be moving Stroman, but if you want, if Hal's putting this stupid self-imposed budget, again, that in a minute, then we probably do need to move him. And I think Cookie Carrasco might surprise people. I think he might actually be pretty good. That's my hot take, is that he might actually pitch well working under Matt Blake. And I think you might see a very decent 6th starter out of a Cookie Carrasco. That's my hot.
Cookie's not the worst case scenario if you have to call him up for a spot start. I'll say that. With Stroman, I think, and Rob touched on it, he's actually been he has been very professional about this whole thing. It would be very easy for him to just go on social media and just blast the whole system, an organization, for how he's being treated. And I think he's, taking a very mature approach, just saying, look, wherever they need me to go, if I got to be traded, like he's not throwing a hissy fit over the whole situation. So I do want to give him credit for that, because it'd be very easy in today's social media landscape to just go online and make a whole big mishmash out of it.
Yeah, you're right. And Anna's bringing up a good point in the chat. You can never have too much starting pitching. 6-man rotation isn't the worst take, but FJ counters with a great point as well. Cole and Rodon are veterans who are not used to a 6-man rotation. It'll ruin their routines. We saw, what was it, 3 years or 2 years ago? When Cole had to wait like an extra 5 minutes after the first pitch and his whole routine was thrown off. Yeah. Remember, Heel was not good on the extra rest, and neither was Rodon. So, like I said before, when it came to when the Yankees were in on Sasaki, I didn't think the 6-man rotation would have worked even then because of so many guys that are used to the 5-man routine. It benefits the Dodgers because they got to rest so many guys and give guys days off and here and there. They got guys coming back from injury, but guys like Cole and Rodon, when they're healthy, Max Fried, they got to pitch every 5 days. So it's not like you can't really break up their routine. So the 6-man rotation wouldn't really work well for the Yankees. If they kept Stroman, Clark Schmidt would have to go to the bullpen. But Clark Schmidt's been so good the last couple of years when he's been a starter that you don't want to give him that demotion because he hasn't done anything to deserve that. Had he struggled, had he been like a guy that gives you 5 innings but an ERA in the high 4s or something, okay, that makes sense. put him in the bullpen, make him a multi-inning reliever, and you've got a really good weapon there. But that's not the case. He's been really freaking good when he's out there. So you don't want to demote him for no reason. It's a shame because, like Donald said, Stroman's contract's not bad. The Yankees should not be acting poor because of it. He's done nothing wrong, but they tried to move him all off season, and now he's here in camp, and it's an awkward situation. This has to be a showcase. Why else would they start him on day one?
Right.
You know, he's projected to be the sixth man of the rotation. I know Schmidt's coming back, but you got Fried, you got Cole, Rodon, Heel, Rookie of the Year, and you go with Stroman. It's a showcase, so let's just see what happens. But I do feel bad for the guy that nothing happened beforehand. It's not like he can control where he goes. It's just that the Yankees are not trying to eat that much money, and no one wants to help them out, nor should they. So
that's because of how it's imposed budget, because now the rest of the teams know exactly what the terms are, which is incredibly bad business. So once again, it goes down to Hal Steinbrenner rather than anybody. But I agree with FJ. When I say that Cookie Carrasco would be a good sixth starter, I'm not wanting a sixth-man rotation. What I'm saying is that he'd be a good spot starter. You know what I'm saying? That he's someone that they would step in when you need. And, later in the season, if you got a bit of a situation where maybe in the dog days of August, if you want to give guys a blow and give them an extra, maybe skip a star or skip a day and go with a six-man, then, okay. But for the meantime, five-man rotation, but you've got a spot starter there ready to step in on occasion. I'm totally on board with that. And I think that's probably a wise way to do it, because the Yankees had a good situation with Ramiro Mendoza back when we were a serious organization. Mendoza was awesome as a spot starter, but was also very solid as a middle reliever too. So if we can find someone that can do that role, that would be really ideal, because I'm not worried about Clark Schmidt, but he is young. He has had a lot of injuries, and a back is not the easiest thing. A back, I would much prefer a hamstring than a back, to be honest. Hamstring heals in a couple of weeks. We don't know about backs. Backs are iffy, So, and now we're certainly at our age now in the 40s here. Tats is 86 and I'm 40, and Rob's younger than me. So we have kind of back things, although we're pretty good. But Tats will maybe know more than I will. But backs are awkward. So
it sucks when you have a bad back. It really does.
That's all day. You just been getting roasted with these age jokes. You gotta fire back, man.
What do we do? I'm old. What do you want me to do? But it's Look, I've had worse things said about me than my age. Trust me. No, I think, look, with Schmidt, it's not like they're shutting him down. He's still, they're all still talking about him pitching. It could have just been easy as he slept wrong one night and just didn't, let's see how he goes on the mound. I think the biggest tell for Schmidt's going to be his delivery. If he looks a little tightened up on the delivery, then maybe there's something more to it. So it's, I'm not overly I was concerned yesterday, and then when they were talking about him being, maybe throwing an inning in today's game or in the future, I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe it's not as bad as we think. It just might have been, just a little soreness. So I'm not too worried about it. It's like waking up with a stiff neck. It doesn't mean you need surgery. So I don't want to overreact to something that, unfortunately, the Yankees do leave us really with no choice but to overreact, because they never can get a timeline right anyway. So, if you are overly concerned about Schmidt, I cannot blame you for that. He stubbed, he broke a fingernail, and then he's out for 6 months with a broken hand. Like that. That's just how the Yankees are. They never get the injuries right.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not really. I don't want to panic it. It's the first game of opening of the spring.
Another thing
it's not like opening day's tomorrow, and now we don't have a starter ready.
Another thing they didn't get right is the whole Peraza situation. So let's give a little bit of a talk about Peraza before we move on to the elephant in the room that our episode is entitled at. But Peraza, the Yankees have screwed around with Peraza for far too long. I think Peraza actually had an article on NJ.com where he felt slighted by the organization. He still feels that he's the best shortstop there. This is an opportunity for him to. I completely agree with him. By the way, he is right. But this is an opportunity for him to prove the Yankees wrong and to make the case for him to be the third baseman, and that would be amazing if he can have a heck of a spring here. Then there isn't a need necessarily for an Arenado, believe it or not. And Peraza can make that case. I would love Peraza to win this job. I would love Peraza to win this job. He's got a bit of pop. He's got a better glove and better arm than Volpe. Well, short anyway. And I think he'd do a good job at third. So let's give this guy a chance. I want to give him as much chance as possible because DJ is cooked. We know that. And Oswaldo Cabrera is not as good as the Yankees are telling us he is. He's a solid utility guy, no more than that. Peraza has better upside. Let's give it a chance. Personally, I think the ship has probably sailed because I know what the Yankees are like. They'll never admit that they're wrong. But I would love that to be the case because Peraza is my guy. He's actually been one of my favorite prospects since day one. And if there's one guy and Anna's on my side here, I'm rooting for Peraza. Yeah, definitely. Cannon of an arm. Absolutely ridiculous arm. Love this guy's arm. And I think that considering the very mediocre results that Volpe's given us offensively over like 2 years, you telling me that Peraza couldn't do that? Let's give Peraza as much chance. I'm rooting hard for Peraza. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Peraza, I mean, it's definitely. I actually want to. I think that they're really doing the right thing by Peraza and even Dominguez, putting them right into the lineup, right into the positions that we're hoping they're going to succeed in. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Peraza handles third base and also Dominguez in left. I want to see, a glimpse of improvement for all the offseason workouts. Like it's about time that Peraza is getting a fair shot. Like if he was not in the lineup today, I would have really my level 10 of excitement would have been less. But I like the players that they're putting on the lineup. And so it did amp me up that much more.
Look, Peraza, no other team would treat their third best prospect the way the Yankees treated him. And I've said this multiple times, just dating back to 2022. Again, like you said earlier, Tats, the tapes are there. You can hear us all being very high on Oswald Peraza, dating all the way back 3 years ago. He was a third-ranked prospect on the team. No matter what site you looked at, it either went Dominguez, Volpe, or Volpe Dominguez, but Peraza was always right there with them. And the Yankees treated him like a 30-year-old journeyman who can just be called up and down and use him on the bench just to fill up a spot. That's not how you treat a third-ranked prospect. Especially after, again, I never put words in people's mouths. Hal Steinbrenner told us the idea of the future is Volpe and Peraza in the middle of the infield moving forward. That's not going to happen. It might be the left side of the infield, but they had multiple chances, and I, at the risk of repeating myself, I'll just give you the brief version. They chose Josh Donaldson over Oswald Peraza more times than they should have. And that was the problem. Peraza could have played a lot last year. They didn't do it. He could have played a lot in 2023. They didn't do it. He should have played a lot more in 22, and they didn't do it. So this is the Yankees' fault. It's not Peraza's fault. I know he got hurt last spring, and he had to miss a little time, but when he came back, he got off to a slow start, picked it up in the minors. They gave him 4 games, and said, all right. And this was a season where they needed a third baseman all year. They were looking for a third baseman until they got Jazz Chisholm, who, by the way, they got to play second base. So they had all season to play Oswald Peraza at third, and they didn't do it. What does that tell you? Now all of a sudden they're saying, go win it, kid, because it's your last shot. It's either he wins the job or wins a bench role, or he's the next Esteban Florial, like someone just said in the chat. He got the Florial treatment. Sean said it.
Yep.
They trade him for a random arm, and I've said this multiple times over the last couple of weeks. I hope he wins this job. If it's not a platoon, which it's either it's a platoon of Peraza and Cabrera, or Peraza just wins it outright, because it can't be DJ. Cabrera's too valuable as a utility guy. Peraza needs to win this, and I think he has the best shot. He's got the most upside. I like Cabrera, but he's limited from the other side of the plate. Good from the left side, horrible from the right side. Good defender at third, but he's also so versatile that you could put him at short in a pinch. You could put him at second in a pinch. He's not great, but you could put him there. He was actually really good at first. He could play the corners in the outfield if need be. There's value there with him. Peraza has a really good arm. He's a phenomenal defender. He can put the bat to the ball. He's got some pop. We saw that. He can run the bases like a madman. That gives you more speed. I hope he runs away with this thing. I really, really do, because it would be a slap in the face of the Yankees organization and maybe a wake-up call to say, maybe you should trust your prospects a little more. The way House said they do, which they don't, maybe then that'll give them a reason to start listening and be like, maybe we should use the kids a little bit more or give them a shot when they're actually ready. Peraza's down to his last option, and he has like literally a handful of games played in his career. He's not 27 or 20. He's like 24. He's got a whole career ahead of him, and the Yankees have him down to his fourth option. They were given a fourth option, and they abused him. It's just so unfair to the kid, and I don't think there's a single fan of Yankee fan or Yankee prospect fan that agrees with the way he was treated. No other team would do that to their third-ranked prospect. If he was just some random in the minors that was showing up here and there, like a Ref Snyder was, even Ref Snyder was a higher-ranked prospect, and they barely used him. So this is your third-ranked guy, and that's what you did to him. So I hope he runs away with it. I really hope he does. I think he will. He's the best of the group that we have in-house. I'd go him, Vivas, Cabrera, DJ as like the ranking, and they're going to use that fourth option for Vivas, and we'll have that conversation for him next year that we're having about Peraza now. But Peraza needs to win this job, and the Yankees need to learn their lesson when it comes to using players before they run out of options.
Because I don't think that the Yankees are going to change their
it's a damn shame.
Their plan, though. I really don't. I don't think they're that high on them. Whatever it is, I mean, from what I understand, judging by that article that on NHNJ.com, we'll see if I can get it for our next podcast. But he said that he felt that he should have gotten the shortstop job, and he was very, very upset when the Yankees took it away, and he might not have taken it very well. Maybe the Yankees have held that against him for it. I don't know, but it's a weird one, man. It's a weird one, and anyway, he's in a really tough spot here because there's a lot of pressure on him now. He knows that he has to have a great spring. He knows it, and that's a lot of pressure on him. Let's see how he steps up. But either way, a couple of years ago, he had great trade value. The Yankees could have gotten some serious talent in the building had they traded Peraza. What good is it to not use him until now, and use up his last option so that he's either going to be DFA'd or go to the bench? You know what I'm saying? It is a really awful way to treat one of your top prospects. It's completely unacceptable, and that's why I just don't buy it. I don't buy what this organization sells sometimes, because this is completely unworkable. If you have a plan for your prospect, use them. If you don't, trade them when their value is at their highest, so that you can get someone in who you do feel has long-term value here. Bizarre way to treat your prospect, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I hope that Peraza wins it. I think Oswaldo Cabrera, I like him. I think he's good in a number of positions, but he's great at none. I think Peraza is great either at short or third. You know what I'm saying? Defensively, I don't know if he has enough pop for the majors yet, But judging by the short sample size that we've seen of him, I think he does have enough pop that he could be a serviceable starting level / platoon level player in the majors on that side of the infield. You know what I'm saying? Because he only had a couple of starts last year before he got sent down again, of course, and he had a home run. And I think it was his second start. He had a home run, and that was like one more home run than Volpe hit for like 2 months. So I'm just being honest, but there's different standards. You know what I'm saying? Because one's not from fucking Jersey. Let's be honest. So I think the Yankees have different standards. I want Peraza to win it, but I don't think Brian Cashman was going to admit that he was wrong. So I think our best shot is him to be playing off the bench. But anyway, I'm rooting for him. He's the one guy I'm paying serious attention to.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I mean, I think I love Volpe too. The idea to have them both in the infield was what I prefer because I'm a guy that really wants to see the prospects get called up. Although I also agree that when there's a time to trade players, you should think about trading them, especially pitching guys. But Troy brings up a point about Spencer Jones. I don't think that'll be the case. The Yankees are very high on Jones. To a point where they've held him out of trade conversations last year. They didn't want to give him up to get Dylan Cease. They didn't want to give him up to get Corbin Burns. Once he drops that strikeout rate in Double-A, which I think he will, it's hard to get worse than what he was. He's got all the tools. He's a fast runner. He's a great defender. He's got the pop. He'll be fine. It's just once he drops that strikeout rate, Spencer Jones is a guy that they're going to look for to be possibly the center fielder as soon as next year. So they're very high on Spencer Jones. I don't think it'll be just like that, but it's a good point because what if they treat him like they did Peraza? That's another conversation. You could have had Dylan Cease last year if you traded him. You could have probably had Luis Castillo if you had traded Peraza. You could have had Pablo Lopez if you traded him and Torres. So unfortunately, those are conversations that we're having because the Yankees fail to play their guys. Some of them, they'll play some of them, but they fail to play the rest of them when they have the value when they're ready. Like I keep mentioning it, 2023, they could have had Florial, Pereira, Peraza, Volpe, Wells, Dominguez. They could have had all these young kids playing because the season was lost. And they probably would have won more games if you think about it had they played all those kids when we were asking them to call them up. Instead, they kept rolling with the Billy McKinneys of the world. So,
oh God, I forgot about him.
Right, that was 2023. They finished just above 500, which is something that we're going to be talking about in a couple of moments when we get to Boone. But missed opportunities is kind of what the Yankees do with prospects, either to play them or trade them.
If their MO is missed opportunities, MO.
That's it.
Let's get to the elephant in the room. Let's start.
All right, so Boone did get his 2-year extension. We knew it was coming. This was a foregone conclusion, but the biggest question is who would have replaced him if they would have decided not to give him the extension? I think that's something that it's a moot point because he was going to be managing the season anyway. So, if anybody that wants to spit that narrative, I think you're a year too early for that one. We knew that was going to happen. So it's only 2 more years. I don't think it's the end of the world. Is there another? But Donald, are there better options for manager? Would you trust Brad Osmus if they would have moved on and promoted him?
No, you're. It's not the case of who could do better or who else is going to step in his place. The Yankees picked up his option. The only thing I'm debating is why they needed to rush to extend him in the first place. They picked up his option. What more needs to be done? They did their job. He's got a year. Prove it for a year. If they make the World Series again, fine. Discuss an extension. Right? Let's see how this year plays out. What was the rush? That's what the conversation is. I mean, the majority of the fan base isn't like fire him right now.
Yeah.
The fan base is sort of like, wait a minute. You've gone against your organizational philosophy to discuss contracts preseason, right? For Aaron Boone? You allowed Aaron Judge to test free agency, for Christ's sake. Right? You didn't even meet Juan Soto for dinner during the whole year. Hal Steinbrenner could have sat down with his family and seen what it would have taken to possibly get something done. You didn't do that. But Aaron Boone? That's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. And you know what? And this is what I already heard this, and I completely agree with Pete Simonetti on this, because he brought up that talking point, Tats. And it's a moot point. Oh, who else could replace him? That's what a managerial process is for. Do you think anybody had Aaron Boone in their short list when we were debating who was going to be the next manager after Joe Girardi? That's why you have a process. You have a short list and you go through it. That's what it's about. So I'm sorry. No, I disagree with you, Tats. I completely disagree with you. I'm not asking for Aaron Boone to be fired. I'm saying, what is the point in extending him further after picking up his option? You've done his job. Move on. Get on with a year. If it's a good year, great. If not, bye. See you later. Someone else could do it.
No, you're also talking about a manager with, I just pulled up his numbers. He's managed 1,032 games. He's got a win-loss record of 603 and 429. So he's got a win percentage as a manager of 584. I mean, you're talking about one. It may have been Yankee, and he didn't have like Girardi did with the hangover of the dynasty years either. You know, he came in with pretty much a fresh crop. What year? Because I've heard this argument, and I want to bring it to the discussion. In what year did they underperform? As far as with when did they have a top roster and failed to miss the mark? Aside from last year, but obviously with the World Series, but he made it.
Well, 2023 they missed the playoffs. 2022 they haven't won a championship. I don't know why I don't care about his win-loss record right now. No one's disputing that. Aaron Boone is not the worst choice for manager. That's not the conversation we're having here. The conversation that we should be having is, why was there a need to get his extension done so quickly when he hasn't won? I mean, Joe Girardi, and I didn't even like Girardi that much, but they said, we're done with you, and Girardi had at least gotten them a championship, and I thought 2017 was managed better than any other year from Girardi. Better than 09, because 09 he should have won. With that team, 2017's roster had no business getting as far as they did. Aaron Boone was given Giancarlo Stanton the year after Joe Girardi had Chris Carter. Aaron Boone was given Garrett Cole when Joe Girardi had an aging CC Sabathia and an injured Tanaka. Mm-hmm. Aaron Boone was given Juan Soto when Girardi never had a Juan Soto. Aaron Boone was given Carlos Rodon. Aaron Boone has been given the world. And I don't hate Aaron Boone the way that a lot of people do. But I said this, I was doing the Yankifying with Donald not too long ago, and I said, I don't think he should get an extension because I want to see how he manages with 1 year on him. I want to see what he does with the pressure on him to go and get that extension. Aaron Boone said there's no place he'd rather be. Great. I love that. I love that he wants to be here. I love that he loves being here. But I also want him to have a championship. I also want the Yankees to stop failing every time they get further and further. They failed multiple times in the ALCS under his management. They failed miserably in the World Series under his management. Now, was everything on him? No. But he's the guy that's putting all of these things in place. Why is Garrett Cole not covering first? Why is Gleyber Torres and guys like Jazz constantly out of position? Well, Jazz never played third, but Torres, the whole Torres thing, why was he allowed to pick his position? Right? Why were all these things allowed to happen under Aaron Boone? So, do I think he's the worst manager in the world? No. Do I think the Yankees want to keep him around? Absolutely, clearly, because they brought him back for 2 more years. And for some reason, they feel like everyone has to have 10 years under their belt. I don't know why. Aaron Boone hasn't won. Had he won the championship last year, give him a 5-year extension for all I care. But He didn't. They got embarrassed. Embarrassed to a point where they're still getting joked about by Joe Kelly, who didn't even pitch. Joe Kelly can shut up, but drop my pen. They're still making jokes about the Yankees. Aaron Judge is still your captain. He's still the butt of New Year's jokes and Valentine's Day jokes. I won't drop the ball for you this Valentine's Day. So you're getting embarrassed from your October performance. And your manager was seen with that grimace on his face after the pitching decision he made in game 1 may have cost us that entire series, by the way. And that's the guy you're rushing. We got to get this done to bring back for 2 years. Why not let him manage the year with that pressure on him? He says if you can't handle the pressure in New York, you shouldn't be here. Well, the pressure was right there for him, and the Yankees said, no, we'll give you 2 more years of comfort. That's why I said I don't want him getting the extension. I get that they like him. I get the players like him. I love that Boone defends his players the first chance he can. He's a very team-oriented. I get that. They love him. He loves the players. That's fine. But he hasn't won. He hasn't won a championship. Girardi at least had one. We ain't going to compare him to Torre. I don't want to hear a single person compare him to Joe Torre. That is out of the conversation. He hasn't won a championship. He got close. We've had winning seasons. He's never had a losing season. He somehow got 2023 to finish above 500, barely. But there's no world where they should have been rushing to give this man an extension when he hasn't gotten them the one thing that they say they're always playing for, that we fans are always fiending for, is number 28. He hasn't gotten it yet. Now, again, I can't stress this enough. I don't hate the guy. I don't know if there's a better option out there because I don't know who's available. Terry Francona would have been the guy, but he's the Reds manager now, I believe. So I don't know if there's anybody that's like, yeah, Ausmus would be better. I don't know. But that's not the conversation. The conversation is, why were they so quick to give him an extension when his first appearance in the World Series was very forgettable? Very forgettable. It was his best managed postseason, but it was also
it was a problematic World Series.
Mm-hmm. Game 1's decision at that, because I was watching a clip of Stanton's home run in that game, and I said it made me have like an out-of-body experience. I'm like, oh my God, Giancarlo Stanton in the World Series just gave us the lead. And that decision to bring in Nestor Cortez will always live on in my head. That face that Aaron Boone made after the Grand Slam, it's like almost permanently burned into my head the same way that Chapman's smirk was after the walk-off of Altuve. So that's the guy you're rushing to extend. It ain't about who's better. It ain't about if he's a good manager or not. It's about, why were you so quick to give him another 2 years when you kind of want to see what he does in that pressure situation of having 1 year left? That's what I said 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. That's what I've been saying this whole time we've been talking about an extension. Why are you rushing to get it done? So it ain't about who's available, who's better, who would they replace him with? Would there be a feeding frenzy? I don't care. He was here for 2025 no matter what. Let him manage 2025 and then assess his future.
Right. I mean, listen, here's a fact. He's the only manager to get a 5th season as Yankee manager without a championship. And now it's going to be his 8th season coming up this year. It's never happened before. We've never, ever done that before in the history of the Yankees. What's Aaron Boone done to earn that? Right? So he's the first Yankee manager to get a 5th season on the job without a championship, and this is now going to be by 8. He's also a manager for the worst single season we've had in 31 years. That was only a couple years ago. You know, just last season, he allowed the most stolen bases in franchise history. The Red Sox did that to him, right? And then there was a World Series meltdown. You know, I know Boone defenders will be like, oh, what about his 600 wins? Well, what about his below 500 record in the playoffs? Does that not count either? You know, you can't have it both ways, Boone defenders. Oh, he's got 600 wins. Well, he's also got a losing record in October. That doesn't count. It should kind of count. And why has it changed so much? Because it's really interesting. Guess what I did yesterday? I did a little bit of fucking detective work. I went back and looked at the archives of what they were saying during the Joe Torre firing, essentially, right? And Hank Steinbrenner, Hank, not Hal, says our expectations are to win championships. We've not done it lately. That's not acceptable to us. So we're going to make a change, right? Now, those were not the exact words, but that's more or less what he said. He definitely said, we've not been winning world championships lately. We're going to make a change. Now, do I agree with it? No, I would have kept Joe Torre forever. The guy's a freaking god of managing. But that was the expectation, and it wasn't George. It was also Hank. So why is Hal come in, and Hal's just sort of like, whatever. 8 years without a championship? That's cool. Do you know what I'm saying? Why is the narrative changed so much? The Yankees never showed any kind of loyalty to Joe Torre, who won you 4 championships, managed a dynasty. 96, 98, 99, 2000, another one 2001, another one 2003. That should earn you 20 years in the job. Minimum, right? And the Yankees still made him sweat every year that they didn't win a World Series. Every year he had to sweat for his job, despite that resume. What about Aaron Boone? He doesn't have a fraction of that resume. He doesn't have 1% of that resume. Not even 1% of that resume. And the Yankees are treating him like he's some sort of fucking god. They treat him like he's a 10. They treat him like he's Sidney Sweeney walking down the freaking beach. You know, I'm like, oh my God, there's gonna be a feeding frenzy. I've got to wipe him up. That's what the Yankees are treating him like. It's ridiculous.
You brought her up. I forgot what I was going to say.
He's a fine manager. I don't think he's a great manager. I don't know even if he's a good manager. I think he's a fine manager. I'm not calling for him to be fired. I don't really care. Frankly, I believe and I know that the problems are much deeper than Aaron Boone. The way I put it is that Aaron Boone is a problem, but he's not the problem. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think he's in the top 3 of our biggest problems. I think our problems start from the very, very top, and I don't believe that he is the reason why, primarily why we haven't won a championship, but he's a symptom. He's not a problem, but he's the symptom. Do you know what I'm saying? He's part of the reason why we haven't won, but I don't think he's the biggest reason. But nor is he the solution either. That's another way I want to put it. I don't believe he's the solution. I haven't seen anything over the last 8 years that would make me think he's a solution. So I don't hate the guy. I would love to have a beer with him. I would love to learn about baseball with him. And I think the guy knows his shit. I really do. And I think he's a fine manager. It's not about hate. There's too much black and white in the modern era. There's a little bit of nuance. Do you know what I'm saying? You can have like a conversation where it's like, I don't think Aaron Boone is the one that's going to be winning us championships, but nor do I think he's necessarily the worst thing in the world. I think he's just fine. I think he does his job. There's a reason why players love him. Soto liked him. Judge loves him. Stanton loves him. So Cole loves him. So fine. He obviously must be doing something right. I am not saying he's a bad manager, but you can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, he's the greatest, greatest manager in Yankee history because he's got 600 wins. Well, he's also won 0 championships. And that used to be what it was about as a Yankee. So for some reason, the expectations have changed. My expectations haven't changed. Rob's expectation hasn't changed. The majority of the fan base's expectation hasn't changed. Why is Hal Steinbrenner's expectation changed? That's what I want to know. So that's why I put Hal as the biggest problem in the organization. But Boone is just a symptom of it. I completely, inherently, fundamentally disagree with giving him an extension. There was 0 reason to give him that extension. Let him play out the year. That World Series did not earn him an extension. That should only earn him a pick up an option and see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. The expectations have dropped, and I'm very disappointed about that as a fan. I feel let down, frankly.
No, it's look. I definitely came off, a little tongue tied in the beginning, but I'll say this because this was the other stat I wanted to bring up. Yeah, we could talk. We mentioned his win percentage and all of that, but of the other managers that are in that have won 600 or more games, he's the only one without a World Series title, and that got him an extension. That's these are the things that really have us scratching our head because I yeah, am I going to champion for him to be a lifetime manager? Absolutely not. To Donald's point, yeah, that should have been Tory. Tory should have had a lifetime contract until he wanted to walk away. And I don't want to. I can't hate on Boone as much as I really want to because he's had some successful seasons, but some of the worst rosters, the worst probability of injury to players, and he's kind of been that guy behind the scenes that really gets them to push through it. So and have that winning season. I know a lot of people like. Could you imagine if he was whoever the manager is for that first time they finish under 500? It could be they could resurrect Billy Martin. We'll want him fired. Like I don't think we'll ever be completely satisfied with a manager. It's good, and we're all going to be, even if he did win the World Series, all we're going to say is, well, it was only for that 1 year. It's the managers are hired to be fired, and it really puzzles me that
Brian Cashman already said that he wanted Aaron Boone for as long as possible. He wasn't hired to be fired. He was hired to stay for as long as possible. That was what Brian Cashman said the day that they discussed about Aaron Boone's feeding frenzy. He says, you always want to hire someone for as long as possible. Now it's going to be 10 years in 2027. So he wasn't hired to be fired. I completely disagree, Tass. I don't know what you're trying to say. Tell me your point. What do you believe in? Heart of hearts. Is this the right call or is this the wrong call?
No, it's not the right call. The extent the picking up his option was the right call coming off the World Series. Right. I agree with that. The extension this quick, no, I don't agree with it. I do think it's a stupid move.
There you go. Speak it from your chest, brother.
That's all you need. All you needed to say, because there really is no other way of putting it. Win percentage be damned. It doesn't matter if you don't win. At least the Dodgers have 2 under Dave Roberts, and not a lot of people liked him. I can tell you that. Dodgers fans were not the highest on Dave Roberts, but he's got 2. I don't care what you think about the 2020 season. They won, and they won last year. They'll probably win again this year if someone doesn't step in and take them down. So he's got the championships under his belt. Aaron Boone doesn't. In no way am I saying that Boone's a terrible manager or that I want him fired or they shouldn't have picked up his option. But there is no reason, absolutely zero reason they should have given him an extension without seeing what he does this year. Because what happens if things go wrong? Well, they're going to use that as an excuse. Well, he'll have another 2 years to get it right. We just got to give him a healthy roster. What are they going to use this? Let's say this year if they win 93 games, let's say they win the division again, but they get bounced out in the LCS. What are they going to say? Well, he didn't have the best situation at third. Who gave that situation? So here's my announcement to the Yankees. You like Aaron? Give him a team. Did I just cut out? You guys can still hear me because my internet just kind of went wacky. Okay, I was gonna say
get cut out. We understood what you were saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say give him a team that can go fucking win and stop trying to give him excuses. That's what it seems that the Yankees are doing. You want to keep him around? Give him a third baseman. How about that? Give him a proper DH to replace the injured Stanton, the often injured Stanton. And I love Big G, but why not have a plan B? You want to keep him around? Give this guy a roster that he can go win with and stop with the excuses every time he fails with one.
Wow, FJ bringing in the fire spot. Oh, brother, that's really interesting. You can't work on 1-year deals. I mean, you could just sum that up. It's just right there. You can work under a 1-year deal. There's no reason why you couldn't have discussed an Aaron Boone extension if he follows up last year with a good year this year. What's the rush? A feeding frenzy? Who cares? Who cares? Did you ever say there was a feeding frenzy for Joe Torre? Never. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's such a nonsense PR, bullshit, absolute joke narrative. Feeding frenzy for Aaron Boone. Who cares? If it's not working, move on. It doesn't matter how great he is. Because you were quite happy with Joe Torre to go to the Dodgers as manager after he'd won you 4 championships.
Well, was that
if you feel it's time to move on, move on. So who cares if it's a feeding frenzy or not? That's not your problem. Right? That's why it's such a nonsense narrative. And I'll always fight against the PR because that's what it's all about. It's all about PR. Win me a championship, then extend him. I'm not saying I hate the guy, not at all. Let him play out this year. He earned picking up the option. They've done that. What more do you need to do? I'll tell you what more you need to do. Go get a third baseman.
No, it's going to be a heated debate for a while, and it's not a debate, but it's going to be something that's questioned until he's not here. Is why he's still here? Because I know a lot of people are blaming him for the way that the World Series ended. I mean, you got your star players on there. You got Aaron Judge dropping a ball that 99.999% of the time is caught. Like, it was the most freakiest of 5th innings I've ever seen in baseball in my life. You didn't have rookies up there that really weren't prepared. You had your star players just completely implode. So is that really the manager's fault?
Yes, it comes from him.
So it's
the fundamentals start and end with him.
Yeah, but you have guys that if you would never expect those guys. It's not like it was if it was Torres that didn't cover first rather than Cole. I can understand that argument. It's the players that were involved in that 5th inning were the least likely players you would think that would happen.
No, it's not about the individual errors, but the fundamentals.
The fundamentals were terrible. No,
right.
And that was a general
year-long thing where the Dodgers said that it was called Yankee defense around the league. So it was well known prior to that World Series. So I don't want to use the excuse that, poor Aaron Judge dropped the ball. That wasn't whatever. It was just an individual error. That was a freak accident. Right. But if the whole league knew that they couldn't play defense, then where does that start with? Management, coaching. That's where it starts with. So fundamentals, kind of a big part of the discussion. And Aaron Boone has had a problem with the fundamentals in the Yankees for a long time, even prior to this past year.
I mean, remember how many times last year did we see any team in baseball making error that cost them a game, and the very next day you'd see the entire team out there working on drills, like Little League all over again. After the Yankees blew that game in Baltimore before the All-Star break, did you see that? Did you see that happening before Game 2, where the Yankees working on fundamentals? Did it happen? Well, they couldn't have done it after Game 5, but did you see them doing that? Or no? Because every time things would go wrong and they'd get questioned about it, they'd say, "Oh, our fundamentals are fine. Our system's good. Everything's good." They're in denial about it. But again, they like Aaron Boone, so we can't do anything to change that. The only thing that we got to hope for is that he does win us a championship, and then good move, you kept him. This way, nobody will try to pry him from you next year. All right, but he hasn't won. That's all we're trying to say. No one's disputing the option being picked up is a bad idea. Anyone thinks that's what we're disputing? No one's asking for him to get fired. We're just asking for the Yankees to have a little more accountability and a little more thought process into thinking this guy hasn't won the one thing that we're fiending for almost 2 decades now. We haven't been able to get one, and yet we're keeping him around for 10 years without that while he's got the winning percentage, he doesn't have the one thing that you want the most in this league. Even the Athletics would fire a manager after this long if he didn't win them. So, I'm just saying, you can have a good winning percentage. Winning records are great and all, but there's no reason you should have a losing record with this roster. If the Yankees had a losing record with the likes of Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton and Garrett Cole and all these other guys on the team, we've got a real issue. So that should be a priority. Is what you first of all, you got to finish over 500. That should be easy. But then it's winning the division and how do you do in the playoffs. We can sit here for another hour talking about the constant failures they've had in the postseason, in the regular season. Why was Clay Holmes allowed to close games as long as he was? Who made that decision? Aaron Boone. So what did he say? Well, Clay Holmes will get it going. He'll turn that corner. So again, while he's not to blame for everything, there's a lot of the things that have happened for the Yankees just last year and the previous couple of years that you can pin on him. So this is not me saying he's a terrible manager. This is me saying he shouldn't have got extended. Simple as that.
Yep.
We'll see. I think the one upside of the whole thing is, one, at least we get to see baseball today. Looking forward to seeing, some of these players on the field, as we've been talking about. We can go round and round on Boone, like we said, for another hour. I do want to bring up real quick. Right, I want to spend just a minute or so on this. MLB has decided not to re-up its partnership with ESPN. So, and to Rob's reaction, I'll throw it to him first. Rob, what do you think this means for watching the Yankees on TV?
Put them on Netflix. I don't care. I got Netflix for WWE. Put them on Amazon. Everyone's probably got it at this point anyway. Fuck ESPN. I'm so ESPN's broadcast sucks, man.
They're terrible.
They're bad. It gets worse every single year. Give it to any other net. Maybe not Fox. I don't want to hear Smoltz on Saturday and Sunday nights. But the Yankees suck on Sunday Night Baseball anyway. But ESPN's broadcast, they don't care about baseball anymore.
No, they don't.
Put it on MLB Network. Put it on Amazon. Put it on Apple.
You have 600 interviews during the game.
We don't need that stuff.
No,
we don't need ESPN anymore. It's like the Yankees' facial hair policy. This is long overdue. It got really bad once.
Remember they had the Star Wars game, and they spent the entire game talking about Star Wars.
The entire game.
Ignored the Yankee game that was on.
It was which Yankee would be Yoda. I don't want to hear that crap. I don't hate Star Wars, but I don't want to be listening to it during baseball. That's why I can't send that horn after 2 strikes anymore. But God, get rid of it. I'm glad it's gone. Give it to any other network that'll do better with it. Once they got rid of Morgan and Miller, the Sunday Night Baseball, it used to be something you look forward to. Remember Yankees and Red Sox in like the mid 2000s with Miller? Yeah. That was baseball that you wanted to watch. Now it's just like who can make the funniest joke out of the crew? I mean, Aaron Boone was part of that ESPN booth, and that's what got him the job. So, you know what? Goodbye, ESPN. Yeah, good riddance, ESPN.
Thanks for nothing. Good Lord. No, to be honest, baseball's regional now anyway. It's a regional broadcast now. It's changed. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather watch the Yes Network. Whatever issues I have with our announcing in the Yes Network, I still take it over ESPN all day long. I don't really care. Baseball's changed. The world has changed. We move on. But I'll always appreciate Joe Morgan and Miller. I thought they were amazing. Those were the good old days. Those days are over. We move on. I don't really care. The ESPN doesn't like baseball anyway. That's absolutely a fact. Because whenever they televise it, you never see it. You see players being interviewed through the whole goddamn game. So let's move on. It's over. I'm cool with it.
Well, they have to do the interviews because they don't know the game.
Right.
The network never it's a 2-sport network. And if you're not in those 2 sports, they can give 2 shits about you. So it's good that they lost the contract with MLB. Now MLB maybe could find a team that can call the games for them that actually know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
So this is definitely something I'm looking forward to. But it is going to wrap things up for us today. Do want to thank everybody for spending the morning with us. We did go into a little bit of extra innings here with the discussion, so we appreciate everybody hanging out. So just remember, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, family, strangers on the corner. This has been the Pinstripe Chronicles, and my voice is just about gone. So wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.